tifu by asking my friend when her brother was diagnosed with autism, by user Waste Associate 5773. So I, 27F, was chatting with my friend T, 23F, over coffee today and she mentioned her brother, 14M, I've met her brother a few times, he's a nice kid but socially awkward. I work in disability services and her brother has a lot of autistic traits, his mannerisms, he avoids eye contact, he knows a lot about very niche subjects and she's also mentioned how he hates change and needs to be told way in advance if plans change. So T started talking about her brother and how he is having trouble making friends at school. During the conversation I asked her when her brother was diagnosed with autism. It was kind of comical how the coffee she was about to drink stilled in front of her mouth and stared at me. She paused for a few moments before asking, "What do you mean?" It was my turn to be confused. I said, "Your brother has autism. Doesn't he?" She got really quiet and kind of reflective. I sat there nervously. After a while she replied, "I've never really thought about it, that's just how he's always been." The conversation slowed after that and eventually we both left the cafe, but I'm confused where to go from here. It's part of my job description to notice these things. Should I have kept my mouth shut or will this not end as badly as I think? I asked my friend if her brother was autistic when he isn't. TIFU learning sign language, update by user sign me out now. The recap. Original post. The new man in my mom's life is deaf. My mom really likes him and so do I. It's safe to say they're in the honeymoon phase of their relationship, and as the teenage son of a single mom who's now madly in love, it's both great and gross at the same time. The gross part I'll unpack in a moment. My plan was to surprise new guy on his upcoming birthday by revealing that I've secretly been learning sign language for months and my first unspoken words to him would have been happy birthday and welcome to the family. The gross part. I came to realize that learning sign language in secret came at the cost of understanding my mom and new guy whenever the two of them low-key used sign language to talk dirty in my presence. I've lost count of how many random times I've caught my mom using her discreet sign language skills to let new guy know how deep into him she was and how much deeper into her she would love for him to be once they were both in bed. The new plan. The wet vagina incident I alluded to in my original post was one of too many examples that prompted me to abandon the birthday surprise and set in motion my plan to inform new guy and my mom sooner rather than later that I understand enough sign language to follow a basic conversation or at the very least interpret individual words to make sense of simple sentences. The update. Instead of informing new guy and my mom that I've been learning sign language on the side, I decided to ask new guy to personally teach me sign language in his free time. That way no one needs to know, other than thousands of strangers on the internet, that I understood my mom and new guy whenever they were talking dirty. It was the best approach I could think of that would encourage new guy and my mom to keep their sign language non-sexual around me and spare us all an awkward situation. That being said, I didn't let them off the hook that easily. My first sign language lesson with new guy happened 2 days ago. He's actually a really good sign language teacher when he's not being seduced by my mom. He even promised to teach me swear words. Towards the end of the lesson I asked him about some of the things I've seen my mom sign to him. In order to sell how new I was to sign language, I first had to pretend struggle how to make the wet vagina sign in front of new guy. It was almost impossible to keep a straight face when I noticed the growing horror in new guy's eyes as soon as he realized what I was trying to communicate. He was quick to intervene and prevent me from finishing the vagina sign, which prompted him to reveal one of his first golden rules: no skipping ahead to pro-level sign language. Apparently my mom's vagina falls under advanced sign language skills and therefore will not be addressed at all. Speaking of my mom, she's been keeping her sign language relatively safe for son since my interest in learning sign language went public. However, this morning I did catch her complimenting new guy's butt in sign language. It was weird because now that she knows I'm learning, she feels the need to teach me too. And based on what happened this morning, she seems to think it's hilarious to teach me words like nice ass. Just when I thought I had the upper hand. This is still an ongoing fuck up, but not as bad as before. I hope. TLDR, the guy my mom's dating is deaf. Because I like the dude, I decided to learn sign language in secret and was planning to surprise him on his upcoming birthday by communicating in sign language. Little did I know that secretly understanding sign language would expose me to disturbingly intimate conversations between my mom and the new man in her life. As per my update, I decided to ask new guy to teach me sign language so that everyone in the house is aware that I'm learning and avoid having intimate sign language conversations in my company. Part of my plan backfired thanks to my comedian of a mother having some fun at my expense by Jedi teaching me how she compliments new guy's nice ass in sign language. Tifu by telling my pregnant Catholic wife that I don't want to force our child into Catholicism, by user usufruct. This happened minutes ago, as I sit in the bedroom with my tail between my legs. My wife and I have been happily married for 2.5 years, together for almost 5. I am agnostic, believe in a God/higher power, don't necessarily believe in any religion, but also don't discredit any religion. She was raised Catholic by both parents. I apologize in advance if anyone finds these coming words insulting, that is not my intention. I would say she's not one that eats, breathes, and sleeps her religion, she stands strongly by her faith but allows room for her own thinking, e.g. pro-birth control, premarital sex, the possibility of life outside Earth, stuff like that. We almost never talk about religion because we respect each other's beliefs and that's that. Therefore, it's never been a point of contention. However, she's 3 months pregnant, which is bringing up the religion conversations. I'm referring to the baby as it because we don't know the sex yet. I'm taking our child to Mass, getting it baptized, it's going to Catholic school, I'm raising it Catholic, etc. are things that she's said so far. I generally have a whatever attitude toward these things because it's not my realm of expertise, but lately it's been bothering me more and more. Again, I don't have a problem with religion, but to force one upon a child seems like abuse and selfishness to me. I do love the guidance it provides people, but it's not for everyone. Today during dinner, she brought up how she wants to get a children's Bible and read it to our baby/child each night. In response, I said I'd also like to read something like a children's book of all religions so it gets a chance to expand its horizons and think for itself. A bit of mommy's beliefs and a bit of daddy's mindset, that couldn't be harmful, right? I'd like for our child to make its own decision at some point on which religion it would like to follow. Nope. All hell broke loose. I did my best by using a die as an example. I put the die in my hand and covered all sides except for the number 1. I said, this is what you want for our child. You want to show it this one side, but it doesn't know that the other sides exist. Through life experiences they'll learn of the other 5 numbers, but it's now become so partial to the number 1 that it doesn't care what the other numbers have to offer. All I want to do is expose our child to all 6 sides, and let it pick its favorite number. Nope, not happening. The child will be raised Catholic until it's a teenager and can make its own decision on religion/faith. I wish I were never pregnant. Don't talk to me about religion again, ever. Thanks for reading/listening. I feel so trapped and helpless regarding my child's development. As an agnostic, it really feels like shit being looked down upon and not taken seriously by someone, especially my wife, that has comfort in their belief system. Apparently I can't talk to my wife about it, so, here we are, venting to a bunch of strangers. Apologies for any spelling and formatting errors. TL.Dr. Wife has endless ideas of instilling Catholicism into our child, but how dare I, agnostic, teach it about other religions simultaneously. Edit, formatting. Edit for update, you guys are awesome and provided some great insight on my situation. I'd love to respond and thank each of you individually, but she's been in close proximity since shortly after the post. If she saw this I'd be writing another TIFU tomorrow and most likely be single. I wrote her a letter better explaining myself and my intentions for our child. It basically went over the respect of beliefs and how we're both going to give our child a part of ourselves in that aspect. I've agreed to do the Catholic thing and she's agreed that I expose it to the array of other religions. She's also agreed that once it's a teen, it has all the power to decide to continue following that faith or find its own. Apparently that is standard, didn't know. What I later learned that made her extremely upset is she interpreted it as I wanted our child to worship a being other than God, which is not true. She found peace in and reliance on religion growing up due to circumstances during her childhood life that I'd rather not share. It's given me a clearer picture as to why it adheres so strongly to her core. Again, thank you all unconditionally. Lesson has been learned, and to anyone else reading that's not married yet, definitely fire up that conversation. It's worth it. TIFU by telling my kids don't do the crime if you can't do the time, by user Lissy_AR. TIFU by telling my kids don't do the crime if you can't do the time. I have 4 boys. It is important for me that they understand that they are responsible for their actions. I always tell them their actions have consequences, good or bad, and they need to remember that especially when they make bad choices. A few months ago I put my 6yo in timeout for doing something he knew he shouldn't have done. He has ADHD, so he's very impulsive and always getting himself into something. He was crying about being in timeout. So I told him that when we knowingly and purposely make bad choices, we don't lie about it or try to hide it, we accept responsibility, accept our consequences, then move on with our life and make better choices. Then I said it. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. A few days later he didn't want to do his homework. I told him if he didn't he would be grounded. He said for how long? I told him for the rest of the week, no TV or Nintendo. He said okay, that's fine, and he didn't do his homework. Now he questions everything and does the time for his crimes. LOL, eat your vegetables please, what happens if I don't? No dessert, okay, clean your room, what happens if I don't? No TV or Nintendo until your room is clean, okay, don't eat that candy, what happens if I do? You won't participate in family movie night, okay fine, I won't eat it. I've caught him a few times telling himself nah, maybe I shouldn't do that, so there's some progress. LOL. TLDR, told my 6yo don't do the crime if you can't do the time. Now he questions the time for everything and sometimes even accepts it. TIFU by taking a client to the lake, by user Valerianjdi. I sell software for a living and a decent bit, or my job is rapport building and keeping clients happy. One of my clients from the other side of the country was in town for a week and had nothing to do over to the weekend, so I told them we were going to the lake house with some other friends and they could come too. This morning things started going south when we went to a neighbor at the lake's house and he was checking out a new pistol he got. He asked my client if he'd shot one before and he said yes, before putting his thumb in the wrong place and nearly ripping it off when he fired. Blood everywhere. I thought he needed stitches, but he said no. An hour later all of us are going to go fishing, walking along the edge of the lake. Apparently he has no idea to look where he steps. I see him about to step on a copperhead, so try to grab him. He stumbles and falls over right by it and gets bit on the shoulder. We live in a major city but the lake is an hour away, so I spend an hour-long car ride worrying that he's about to start dying on me. Then at the hospital they determined that, in addition to the snake bite, he did in fact also need stitches. He thinks it's funny, but now I get to explain this to my boss. TLDR, took a client to the lake and he ended up with stitches and a venomous snake bite.